There's a lot to talk about today, and I'm going to start somewhere that you don't expect me to start, but it's time. I want to talk to you about fascism and what fascism is, because I think we have a reluctance in this country really to grapple with the concepts of really big ideas like socialism and fascism and so on. And there has been a tendency not to talk here about what fascism is. We have a caricature of what socialism is that I talk about a lot versus the actual definition of socialism. But it's time for us in this country to be grappling with fascism. And fascism is a system of government, and they come in different flavors around the world according to the distinct cultural characteristics of the country that is embracing a concept of a government like a fascist government. And well, I won't go down that rabbit hole. But there's some hallmarks you can identify. Fascism is a form of government that relies on the idea that the vast majority of people should not and cannot have input into their form of government because they're just not as smart or as able as a very small group of people. About 10% is the way the initial ideas of fascism talked about who should rule a society. And again, I'm doing such a high level view here, but that 10% or that small group of people are the only ones who really understand how a society should work. And because of that, they need to direct the economy, and they need to direct government, and they need to direct society in order to create a strong country that is going to be able to exert its forces elsewhere. And there are a number of hallmarks to that. So, first of all, the idea that only a few people really know what's going on and should rule inherently means that some people are better than others. So, that, of course, means that there's one person who should be at the top of that, because if there are gradations to people, right, there's got to be somebody who's really good. But it also means that the mass of people have to be directed by that small group of people. They have to be brought in behind that small group of people. And the way that you do that, according to fascist thinkers, is by creating an other, by splitting a population along lines of religion or race. You set this idea that there is somehow a small group of people who are the good guys, and everybody else is a bad guy. They use different words than that, but that's the scheme of it. Because what you're doing is you're setting a group of people against an other psychologically. So you're deliberately saying, we're the good guys and they're the bad guys. And often they define those bad guys as socialists. Think of these as words, by the way, not as concepts, as socialists or as the radical left. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. And if you can convince the in group to hate the out group, the what they do to the out group matters, of course, especially to the out group. It matters in many ways, but what that really does is it solidifies that in group, because you don't want to be one of the out group. You want to be with the in group. So you deliberately split a population, and then once you've got that in group, sort of eating out of your hand, you convince them that they are the true members of that society, that they are the ones who can usher in a resurgence of a great past, that they don't need other countries, that you need to kill all kinds of foreign ties because those foreigners are no good. That you need to make sure that the government and business work together, often with the business taking a percentage, if the government taking a percentage of businesses. And you need to make the military, the government, and the army all work together with this very, very loyal base, forcing everybody else to come along with it. And there are all sorts of implications for that. For gender roles, for example, women are supposed to be religious and housekeepers and produce a lot of children rather than working outside the home, because the whole point of this is to denigrate the idea of any kind of equality among people. Because the point is there's not equality among people. Some people are better than others, and they have to be trusted to whip this country into shape in such a way that they move the army, the businesses, and the government together to create a very strong state at home and then to spread into other countries and to take over those other countries and to be able to grab their resources. That's the philosophy behind fascism. And it is now very much a part of the current administration in the United States of America. And if you know my work, you know I don't say that lightly. I've talked a lot about how the United States has a history of things that have fascist tendencies, like the elite Southern enslavers before the Civil War. But we are now looking at a moment when you have an administration that has those hallmarks and that also is deliberately breaking the law and deliberately acting as if our Constitution doesn't exist.